your host, Double Krown.
You don't get it, do you? You just don't get it. There's even a document. It's called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. So let's go through this document. Right, at the beginning, you'll notice it says, this document represents the doctrine adopted by the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group during its first known meeting in 1954. So this document here, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, this was produced by and for the Bilderberg Group, and they wanted to keep this top secret. But let's go on. The following document, dated May 1979, was found on July the 7th, 1986, in an IBM copier that had been purchased at a surplus sale. So there's two bits of key information there. Bilderberg Group, they produced this document. They are key. Bilderberg Group. So whatever you hear about Bilderberg Group, they will claim, Bilderberg Group is just an informal little chat, and we can't ever agree on anything. That's just clearly not true. They're producing these documents, these kind of documents, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. But the other key piece of information here is this date here, July the 7th, 1986. So that's when this was found. That's when this document was kind of found by the public, and whoever found this must be wondering, well, what am I going to do with this document? They might have sat on it for months. They might have sat on it for a year. I mean, if you found this document, what on earth would you do? It puts you in a very vulnerable position. If you were to find a document like this and you were the first person. Of course, it's all over the internet now, but back in 1986, if you were the first person to find this document, what on earth would you do? Where would you release it? You couldn't go to the papers, could you? Because the papers are controlled, we know that, and they would not want to release this information. I mean, the first thing they'd be asking you, is this document genuine? Is it fake? They would try and claim it's fake, etc. But we'll go through this document a little bit later on. But the other thing about this date is 1986. What happened in 1986? Because, of course, once this document is then leaked to the public, to the general public, Bilderberg must have held a crisis meeting. They must have thought, what on earth are we going to do? So they would have embarked on some kind of damage limitation program. So you've got to think to yourself, well, what happened in 1986 or near that time? And I can't think of anything that happened around that period. Of course, by the time Bilderberg actually found out that this document has been leaked to the public, it might have been a few years. But the only thing that I can think of that happened in 1991 was David Icke. David Icke came onto the scene, and he had an interview with Terry Wogan, where he claimed certain things, that he'd had some kind of spiritual experience. And I'm just wondering, has the Bilderberg Group decided on some individual, some person, somebody like David Icke, to manage and damage limit all this information that's coming out? Is David Icke perhaps not as genuine as we think? I mean, I want to believe in David Icke, I really do. I think he's got, I agree with about 90% of what he says. So I love David Icke, and I agree with 90% of what he says. So I really want to believe in David Icke. But this date here, 1986, and the date that David Icke had an interview with Terry Wogan in 1991. David Icke would be the first to tell you. He would be the first to tell you not to believe in coincidences. I mean, those dates, there's 5 years only separating those two dates. And you just think Bilderberg Group, they must be involved with some kind of damage limitation now that this document has been released. But let's have a look at actually what this document says. And one of the key things, if I can, let's do a quick search. So I've got a couple of keywords here. People is one, and this is just to say that it's been distributed. And there's a preface. Let's listen to this one here. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, an introduction programming manual was uncovered quite by accident on July the 7th, 1986, when an employee of Boeing Aircraft Company purchased a surplus IBM copier for scrap parts at a sale and discovered inside details of a plan hatched in the embryonic days of the Cold War, which called for control of the masses through manipulation of industry, people's pastimes, education, and political leanings. It called for a quiet revolution, putting brother against brother and diverting the public's attention from what is really going on. So that's their strategy, is to control your pastimes, control your jobs and your education and your political leanings. It's trying to control every facet of your life. And this document kind of explains that in depth. So in 1954, this was the issue of primary concern. Although the so-called moral issues were raised in view of the law of natural selection, it was agreed that a nation or world of people who will not use their intelligence are no better than animals who do not have intelligence. Such people are beasts of burden and stakes on the table by choice and consent. So that's an indication of what they think of the general public. They think that you are a beast of burden, and if you're not willing to use your intelligence, you should be treated like an animal. That's that is basically their view and opinion of you. Okay, what Mr. Rothschild had discovered was the basic principle of power, influence and control over people as applied to economics. That principle is when you assume the appearance of power, people soon give it to you. And how often have you been in a job where a new boss just comes in? They just install a new boss. He's been there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and he's dictating everything and thinks that he knows how everything works, and he starts barking orders at you. And basically, if you assume the appearance of power, people just tend to give it to you. And that's we see that happening in the workplace particularly, and in other areas. So that is key, and that is their strategy. They assume the appearance of power. So Mr. Rothschild had discovered that currency or deposit loans had the required appearance of power that could be used to induce people. Inductance with people corresponding to a magnetic field. So they're using these scientific terms because this is a technocratic takeover. This is a mathematical and scientific agenda that they've got of control, and induces people into surrendering their real wealth in exchange for a promise of greater wealth instead of real compensation. They would put up real collateral in exchange for a loan of promissory notes. Mr. Rothschild found that he could issue more notes than he had backing for, so long as he had someone's stock of gold as a persuader to show his customers. So, well, we've all learned about banking and the scam that is modern banking, and being given loans and being charged interest on money that doesn't actually exist. So this is a key part of their strategy here. The social welfare program is nothing more than an open-ended credit balance system which creates a false capital industry to give non-productive people a roof over their heads and food in their stomachs. This can be useful, however, because the recipients become state property in return for the gift, a standing army for the elite. For he who pays the piper picks the tune, and that's key here, is basically they want everybody on benefits, everybody dependent, So nobody can do anything, but also it means that you've got a big army of welfare dolites who are obliged to carry out the whims of the elite. So that is one of the key strategies to make everybody dependent. If the people really cared about their fellow man, they would control their appetites, greed, procreation, etc., so that they would not have to operate on a credit or welfare social system which steals from the worker to satisfy the bum. So again, here they make it clear that they don't think that we care about our fellow man, and that we are gluttonous, greedy, that we have no morals. I mean, that's what they think of us, the people. The objective of such studies is to acquire the know-how to set the public economy into a predictable state of motion or change, even a controlled, self-destructive state of motion, which will convince the public that certain expert people should take control of the money system and re-establish security rather than liberty and justice for all. When the subject citizens are rendered unable to control their financial affairs, they of course become totally enslaved and a source of cheap labor. So that is their strategy. They want a totally enslaved population. They will regard themselves as the experts who are in control and in charge of the money system, and you don't have a say in any of that. They think you're just an idiot. They are the experts, so they claim, and this is the whole agenda. And of course they don't want liberty and justice for the people, but of course they can have liberty and justice, but they don't want that for the people. So that is a key part of their strategy. Then it goes on to shock testing. Shock testing is this idea of changing the value of a commodity all of a sudden and seeing the psychological impact that it has on the people. Are the people going to demonstrate? Are the people going to complain? And they can assess your psychological state using these kind of strategies. So here we've got some examples here of a table of strategies that they want to embark on: keeping the public ignorant. They want social conformity, so they don't like any kind of people with unusual views and opinions. They want to attack the family unit. They want to establish boundary conditions. They want to maximize control, and they want a collapse of the currency. They want to destroy the faith of the American people in each other. So, and then it goes on. The next step in the process of designing an economic amplifier is discovering the energy sources. The energy sources which support any primitive economic system are, of course, a supply of raw materials and the consent of the people to labour and to consequently assume a certain rank, position, level or class in the social structure, to provide labour at various levels in the pecking order. So they want you they want to keep you in line. They want you, whether you're middle class or lower class, they want to keep you at that rank, and you're not allowed to go up or down. They just want to keep you low status, low pay, so they can totally control. There's no chance of prospects or promotion or anything like that. They want total control of you and your life here. Until such energy dominance is absolutely established, the consent of people to labour and let others handle their affairs must be taken into consideration, since failure to do so could cause the people to interfere in the final transfer of energy sources to the control of the elite. So that is the key here. They want final transfer of energy sources, and the elite want total control. And they don't want the people interfering in that. So they want to keep you busy in useless jobs that serve no purpose. I mean, if you're working in banking, or if you're working in some meaningless industry where you're not contributing properly to society. And of course there's hardly any proper jobs because manufacturing has all gone. It's all moved to China. So, you know, people say contribute, but you don't get a chance to contribute because all the jobs have gone, all the meaningful jobs. And of course you're left shuffling around in an office somewhere, rattling around in an office, doing some ridiculous paperwork that nobody's interested in, or you're a cleaner, or you're doing some ridiculous, meaningless task which just numbs your brain. Most people want to be able to subdue and or kill other human beings which disturb their daily lives. So that's what they think. They think that most humans want to kill other human beings. Now, I would dispute that. I don't think most humans want to kill other human beings. They're projecting themselves onto you because they want to control you and dominate you and kill you. They think that you will think like that as well, and you want to dominate other people. So that is the oxymoron, if you like, here. But they do not want to have to cope with the moral and religious issues which such an overt act on their part might raise. Therefore, they assign the dirty work to others, including their own children, as to keep the blood off their hands. Again, most people want to be free to do things. Who doesn't? But are afraid to fail. The people hire the politicians so that they can obtain security. Well, we don't hire politicians so we can obtain security, but they've just taken on that role by themselves. The people know that they have created this farce and financed it with their own taxes. And by paying taxes, they believe that you're giving consent. But they would rather knuckle down under than be the hypocrite. So this is key here. They think that we've given consent for all of this by paying taxes, etc., which is just absurd. We believe that the entire world should know about this. Okay. I think we're back to the beginning here. So that was one of the key words, and I've got another key word here: associate. So let's have a look. And this is key here: associate. The public might instinctively feel that something is wrong, don't we? Don't we just feel that something is wrong? But that is because of the technical nature of the silent weapon. They cannot express their feeling in a rational way or handle the problem with intelligence. Therefore, they do not know how to cry for help and do not know how to associate with others to defend themselves against it. And that is key because the ability to associate with other people is key. And of course, they're using this divide and rule strategy. So they're pitting black people against white people. They're pitting Protestants against Catholics. They've been doing this kind of stuff for centuries, for decades, for thousands of years perhaps. They want, in the modern day, they want to pit Christian against Muslim. They want to put Buddhist against Hindu. They want to put man against woman. Any kind of difference that they can just grab hold of, they want to use that to divide people and to make sure that we can't associate with others. And one of the key strategies online, of course, is to only allow people who talk about video games, only people who talk about nonsense and things of no meaning, smoky eye video tutorials or makeup or Prada handbags or video games. As long as you're talking shit or meaningless nonsense, then you're allowed to associate. But they don't want people associating properly with other people on political matters or anything of real significance. So that is key. So you should check out this document, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye for now.